Hello, welcome to another video. This is going to be covering Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is going to be the chapter that's going to take the longest in terms of time, but not in terms of rooms. I believe Chapter 2 has 6 more rooms than Chapter 3 does. This is where the difficulty is really going to start kicking in. If Chapter 2 was, you had some difficulties in Chapter 2, you're probably going to have some difficulties in Chapter 3. Because things get a little more complicated. There's a lot of rooms that can cause a lot of issues, and this room will test your adaptability a little bit more than the other chapters will. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So as I said, Chapter 3 is going to be overall probably the most difficult chapter, and there's some people that might be able to argue Chapter 4. The only reason I say Chapter 3 is because Chapter 3 is more than one room. Chapter 4 is just one room. So, overall, as a chapter walkthrough, it's going to be a little more difficult than Chapter 4 comparatively. That being said, we're going to start this difficult chapter by walking into a door. That's it. That's the whole thing. Cool. Alright. So, it is going to take a little bit of time before we start getting to difficult rooms. Because the first portion of it's not too bad. But, housekeeping. This is a 1 in 4 chance key room. I'm going to break that one and find the key, hopefully. But yeah, you're just going to work your way through the room. You've got check 1 here. So you cancel that. Check 2 is going to be here. Your third check is going to be here. If you don't have the key after this, you're going to grab this box. Camera. And you'll throw it down to that for the fourth one. Just so that way you're not walking all the way down to that cabinet and then walking all the way back. But, that being said, now we're in Crivens Quarters. This is going to be another CC can room. We are not going to be doing this challenge because we do not have to. You're going to turn your camera around, break the base, grab the challenge complete can, and you're done. Not quite done with the room, but you're done with the challenge aspect, just because you have to physically leave the room. But that's just a quick walkthrough portion. And with that, that is going to make Crivens Quarters all set to go. Back into housekeeping, and now we're going to run into an enemy that is going to be reoccurring in this chapter, and is very much going to require a little bit of adaptability. So, you're going to break this open. It's going to have a turbo. You're going to do the same 4 checks that I just told you about in the first go, except you're going to need to physically break it because you need that box for a different reason. Break this one. At this point, grab the turbo. Check the second. Third, and there's the warlock. As soon as he spawns, if it's one of the first 3, you're going to make your way back to this dustpan. You're going to have 2 hits with the dustpan. There's 1 box there. There's 1 box down at the end of the room. If he spawns there, you want to be careful to hit him towards the left. You do not want him to break that box. I think. That's fine. Alright, now we're going to grab the last one and throw as well. What's important is you want to try and end the room pretty much by the door or somewhere in this area, and then go straight into the scare. So, the problem with the Warlock is the Warlock has the ability to teleport randomly around the room. There's 2 spots in each, what I'm going to call half of the room. So where I'm standing at right now, I'm going to call the middle point of the room. 2 points where he can spawn over here, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. And then over on the same side, 1 on the left, 1 a little more to the right. Very simple. When the Warlock teleports, if you are not looking in the right direction, so let's say I'm looking here, and he decides to spawn behind me, Cooper will turn around to exactly where he is. So when you get to the box phase where you're throwing the 2 boxes, wait till it teleports. You can, without moving the camera, Cooper will automatically lock onto the Warlock, and you can just throw as soon as you see that return happen. But that's going to be that. Now we're going to start getting into one of the kind of overall themes that kind of show up multiple times in this chapter. And that is going to be safe strat versus aggressive strat. We should go and just... Bye. Alright. So yeah, there's going to be multiple rooms in here where there's a safe strat, and then there's a little more of an aggressive strat. Just do what you want depending on what you're comfortable with. Safe strat in this room is going to be this invisibility can. You'll grab it, go up the stairs, take a right. If you want something a little bit faster and kind of are willing to take that risk, you're going to grab this plant, head up the stairs. As soon as the skeletons start moving, you're going to throw. It should stun all of them, and the zombie players are no issue. The animation it takes for them to pull the chest out and throw it, you'll be in a position where you cannot get it. Upper corridors. This looks like a mess because it is. Just go straight, hang against this left wall here. Up and around. That was actually really good. You may have to go a little bit deeper into that left side, but just kind of depend and kind of play it. Alright, bathroom, this strat is on a timer, so I do have to go quick with this. Grab this basket, throw it all the way down to the shower area. While you're working on that, beat this code up, and wait for this other one to come in. What you're looking for is that. You're looking to basically hitbox the other one to kill two at one time. You're going to throw this one. Maneuver through, that's not great. That's fine. I would rather grab that than anything else. Because grabbing the Mini Cooper or the Turbo can cause some issues. It's just me now. I'm going to have to let me play the game, please. Thank you. Wow. Okay. Right. Stop it. Okay. Once you're over here, minus the slow-mo, there's going to be a Turbo and an Oko. Grab both. Get the coat cleared out. I like to get the skeleton spawned in, which does not happen until after you kill the end. Because of how this is going, I am just going to grab the tub and swing and finish the run. At this point, the only thing you're going to be careful of is if you do have the Reaper in the room, you just need to kind of pick where you want to go. I'm going to go up and around here because Medusa went to the left. Other than that, not that difficult. Like I said, I can't really do any pausing with that, just kind of how that room went. But just kind of, if you need to, play that one a couple times, definitely want to do so. Schoolroom. Grab this pot, take a couple steps forward, throw right towards the fishbowl area. There's going to be an invisibility can, and you're going to make your way through the room. Simple, easy. This is a situation where the quote-unquote safe strat is the faster strat, because all of the desks have imps, which means you're going to be doing a lot of scare canceling, and it will end up being slower. On top of possibly even caught by Medusas, which will make it even slower. The Infirmary. Come over here. You're going to grab this super weapons. And you're going to grab these bombs. You're going to kill the first Medusa. And then what you're going to do is you're going to wait until you have line of sight on the second Medusa, and you're going to kill that one. Do not, for any reason, activate this line of text with a Medusa alive. If that occurs, you will be locked in the room for a minute. Time loss, nothing you can do. There's not a CC can that can save you. Or yes, there is actually. It's over there. There's a CC can over there should that happen. But obviously you don't want to do that. You would rather just so yeah, if that does happen, there is a CC can back behind those two negative cans in the cabinet laying and the locker laying sideways. But obviously the ideal situation is kill both Medusas before talking to Dunfiddlin, Fiddlesworth, whatever his name is. I don't know offhand. But that's that. Alright. heading into Dunfiddlin Cottage Garden. This is going to be pretty much just a walkthrough. There's not a whole lot here, no real threats or anything. The only thing is you're going to come over here to this wheelbarrow and break this open. There is going to be a turbo. There is times where it just decides not to spawn, so you may just get unlucky a couple times. And you may just not get it to spawn, because I don't know why it doesn't spawn. It just decides not to sometimes. But, stick to kind of the left side of the tree. Hug the tree as much as you can. Once you start going over the hill, stick to the right side. Get in here as soon as possible. And then you just want to head straight to Middlesworth again. I was a bit late, but there is a spot where you can melee right before that text to get a little bit sooner. The greenhouse is a maze. It's a maze. But we're going to come over here, swing to start the room a little bit early, and I'm going to show you the exact route you need to take to get to the exit. First thing you want to do is you're going to direct this vampire's attention. Kill the vampire. And it should spawn a turbo. Once it spawns the turbo, get off me. You're going to come up here, take a left, stay to the left side here, do not go through the middle. Take a left here, right over here. Once I like to wait for the chicken to get a little closer to the door, and then just make your way to the door. Yeah. And then that's going to be the end of that. So yeah, just take the route that I showed you. You'll get this. The room is pretty easy to get lost in, so it might take a couple tries to get there. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clear the room. And I'm going to go through the whole route again. There's another turbo. Pretty cool. Okay. Because I did kind of have to rush through that a little bit. I'm going to go back here and do this one more time, just so you kind of understand. Okay. So the route you're going to... Well, okay. You can disappear. Try again. Okay. So, the route here is going to be, you're going to go up here, you're going to follow this straight line all the way through. Obviously, you know, you want to take the vampire, kill the vampire, grab the turbo, and then you're going to want to take a left here, stay against this, because if you come into that middle section, there's going to be a hand-in ground right where that can is. You don't want to get hit with that. Once you get to this point, you're going to take a left, you're going to take a right. I prefer to take this route mostly because the chicken's going to end up lining up somewhere in this area. And then you're just going to go straight, and then at this point the route is just going to end the room. So, just something to keep in mind. I know it can be a little difficult to figure out where you're going with that, so I wanted to just kind of take the time and show that route without everything in the way, just so you kind of know. Now we're in potting room, and this is where things start getting complicated. This is a room that you can do really quickly, or you can lose a lot of time on, depending on how things go. Once again, this is another room that has a safe strat and an aggressive strat. The safe strat is going to be grabbing the invisibility. The faster strat is just grabbing the turbo. You're going to grab the turbo regardless. It's just a matter of safe strat, invis, aggressive strat is without. I like doing it without, so I'm going to grab the turbo. Come over to this corner. The CC can, don't pick it up. Okay. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna hunt down some chickens. There are 2 vampire chickens in this room. We're going to intentionally break the rule to spawn the Reaper. And that positioning wasn't great, but it's fine. Alright, once you have the Reaper spawned, you're gonna grab the challenge complete can. I'm going to make my way back over towards the exit. And at this point, what you're going to want to do is position yourself to where the hunchback is in between you and the Reaper. And you are just going to... Don't let him get away. Just keep kicking. Kicking, punching. Anything you want to do, just speed this process up. Deal with the vampire. Come on. Okay, he's killing everything except the hunchback. So if we could, you know, not, that'd be great. And now he's turned around and gone the other direction. Okay, yeah, let's try that one more time. Because that was not good. That was bad. Don't do that. That's kind of what I mean by the aggressive strat is you have to follow, the Reaper's going to follow you. If you grab the invisibility can, he'll be right here until the can runs out, where you can position yourself a little bit better and it goes a little smoother. But you do lose a bit of time just having the invisibility can because you have to wait for it to wear off before the Reaper can start moving. So, once again, this challenge complete can in the corner here.
Okay.
Get the challenge started, kill the 2 vampire chickens, and then we'll get to the other half in a second. Okay, spawns are better. Maybe. There you go. Grab the challenge complete can. Let me see, where's that at? I can sneak past here. Alright, sneak past here. Get the hunchback spawned in. And hope he doesn't run away this time. And he did the exact same thing again. Okay, well, this isn't great. Try this here. That's fine. This is fine. It's just a matter of... Alright, there's the hunchback dead. I just need to get out of the vampire, and then I can leave. If I can, you know, get out. Right. Once the hunchback is dead, leave the room. Just immediately. There you go. So, yeah, and there is a chance that the hunchback runs, and that does make it a little more complicated. So you will have to chase him down and just kick him continuously. But yeah, just position yourself where the hunchback is in between you and the Reaper, and just basically guide the Reaper to kill the hunchback. Back in the greenhouse, this is going to be just a walkthrough of the room. You're going to take the inverse route of what you did in the first one. Come over here. Take this left here. I do like stunning that one. Again, stick on the... It's going to be the right side now. You don't want to deal with the hand and ground. And then you're going to walk over. And just get in the room. And that is that. Okay, back to the Dunfiddlin Cottage garden. And we need to make our way down to the cabin. Pick this up, break it. As long as you pick that weapon up, you should automatically pick up the turbo without needing to physically touch it. You're going to come down here. Again, just kind of stay close to the tree to minimize. Once you get down here, you are going to want to grab the stump. It's going to be a little important. Because there's just the better way to play the room here. Get into the fenced area. It's going to shut. And then we're going to start. You are going to throw this stump into the doghouse, the beehive, whatever you like to call it. It is a doghouse. Break the worm. Hit the worm. Run. If that scare hits you, you have a problem on your hands. Because then every single worm in the room is going to wake up. And they're all going to be coming after you. The one thing of note, if that does happen, number one, if you're able to get it before it explodes, there is a turbo here, which will make the, if you want to just tank the hit in front of the door, it will make the get up animation a little bit faster. If you do upset everything in the room, there is an invulnerability can if you do not want to die. But, that being said, we're going to move on to the actual cottage itself. And wouldn't you know it, we're dealing with yet another warlock. This one's going to have a 1 in 5 chance, I believe. Yes, 1 in 5. And there's a specific route you're going to want to take. The last checks you want to do are going to be that, where the door is going to be the last check you want to do. So you're going to want to do, this is going to be check 1. This is going to be check number 2. Between check 2 and 3, you're going to pop this vase for a challenge complete can, because that will be important. You're going to pop this for the 3rd check. You're going to break this open for the turbo. Check 4, and then check 5. So let me get back to the beginning of the room and show you what that looks like. The one thing that can help is if you find weapons. If you find weapons, there is a roll of toilet paper. You can grab that to open everything a little bit sooner. Once the warlock is in, you're gonna grab the challenge complete can. And at this point, it's going to come down to RNG and how this goes. There are 5 containers here. 1 has a warlock. 1 is empty. 1 has weapons. 2 have flying imps. What you are hoping for, ideally, is that there are 2 imps and the one by the door. And I will show you why in a second. Grab this and the turbo before you head over. You are going to hold directly down on your control stick so that it throws towards the door. What you're hoping for is that 2 more flying imps pop out, just like that, and you're going to clear the room just no problem. So again, grab the basket and the turbo, throw, hold down to throw it in the correct direction, because your camera is going to be facing like this. If this breaks and it has the 2 imps, grab that. Why are you moving so fast? Okay, well, goodbye. So, that's going to be Dunfiddlin Cottage. The workshop is a room you don't want to die on, because you will instantly lose a chunk of time. These 2 big vases, you want to go around. The second one, you'll go in a counterclockwise to get over to this one, and you will break that and throw it in the fire. You do not want to deal with ancient mummies. You'll see why in a second. Because you're on a door timer, and it is 1.5 minutes long. All of the, if you saw the Chapter 2 video, all of the places that the key can potentially be at are now replaced with miniature coopers. They are definitely helpful. What you're going to want to do is get the mini coopers, more importantly, go around the room breaking everything. Break everything in the room, every weapon, anything. You do not want to be messing with, well, a situation like what I'm about to get into, because you don't have that much health. Alright, we're going to get over to this point, break this one into play. Go from there. Once you get over to this point, you're going to be around the 40-second mark. You're going to break this vase. Grab the Trader Fever. Break the pot. At this point, no one's going to be attacking you. You're going to be attacking each other. You're going to come over to this big furnace area, break the pot inside, and there's going to be a freeze can. Wait to grab the freeze can until about 20 seconds or less, because the duration of the can is 20 seconds. And at that point, you're good to just leave the room. So, you're going to come in, get to the door. You're going to work from the right side, going in a counterclockwise, breaking everything, all plants, weapons, everything. At 40 seconds, grab the Trader Fever. At 20 seconds, grab the freeze, and you're good to go. Alright, in the Chapter 2 video, I had mentioned in the study that you do not want to leave the study until you have the introduction done, either by skipping it or letting it play, for a room later in the game. This is that room. This speeds this room up just a little bit. So they're going to walk in, I'll let you take a look here. They're going to walk in the same kind of circle pattern. What you're going to do is you're going to want to line yourself up with the wood chipper and the logs, and you're going to want to throw when the Jesse and Clyde is at that point. I was a little bit to the left, but it's fine. I did get the turbo. I am going to grab the turbo and just run. There we go. That's not great, but that's fine. I should be able to get out at this point. The wood chipper over there is going to have an Oko can, which is ideal to have. But if you don't get it, you can just do it with the turbo. The Foundry. I'm going to go for something, and I don't want to make this explicitly clear. What I'm about to try and do is exclusive to the rare replay. I have not been able to do it in any capacity on the original version. In this room, if you're able to, and if you're on the correct version, if not, I'll go over how to do the room the other way as well. You can overload the room to the point where the second challenge does not start. You need to do the first portion of the room, which is, once again, safe strat versus aggressive strat. If you want to play this room safe, do not kill anything. If you want to play it aggressive, you're going to want to find a coat before you find the key. You're going to want to kill the coat to spawn the Reaper, and then you use the Reaper to kill the door. Which is what I'm going to be going for. So let's see how this works out. That is a mummy. There will be 2 mummies, 2 coats, an empty, and the key. Okay. Let me show you how to do the safe strat. So, you're going to come over here, break this open. There's a turbo and a knockdown. You can throw one of the cans if you want to at the door to get it to jump out a little bit earlier. But you're going to basically unload onto that, get an attack here, come all the way back down over here, grab the anvil, get behind the door, throw the barrel, and that's that. Now, let me see if... so yeah, what you would do for the more aggressive strat, let me get this damage. For the aggressive strat, you would find the coat first, kill the coat, use either the cans or the bottles to break open everything else. So there's the first one's here, second here, third, fourth, fifth, and the sixth one's right over here. You'll work your way over, and then if you have the Reaper spawned in, you can just hide behind the door. The only thing you'll want to do differently with the 2 cans that pop up over here is you are not going to want to grab the Knockdown Mania, because you will not be able to stun the door. You will knock the door completely down, which is going to make it a little bit more difficult. So, that being said, moving on. The stables is next, and once again, there's a fast way, and there's a safe way. Regardless, break this out. Grab this. That will serve purpose in a minute. Alright. If you want to play this safe, you can break every single one of these barrels, boxes, everything open. And this, what I'm showing you is the only correct way to get through this room. There is not a secondary route to take. But this contains a fire amp. Break this one. Break this one. The wall. I like breaking this, and there's a specific reason that we get to when we start going backwards, because you're going to get to the back of the room, and then you're going to go... But every box and barrel that you see that you're kind of walking through will spawn a fire, at least one fire if on your way back through the room. The reason I got rid of the one I did is because we're going to utilize a freeze can. And depending on how things go and in that position, if you have the freeze can, because you're not going to be allowed to take any damage, you may be either stuck there for a minute, or you'll be stuck taking damage. So getting rid of those damage just kind of solves that issue. If you'll notice, so the reason we grab the shocker blocker can is in rooms where it's applicable, you can use, so the shocker blocker can does the sequence for you. You can combine that with button mashing to make it go significantly faster, because the game allows you to do the automated inputs of the shocker blocker can as well as manual physical inputs as well. They combine together. But on the way back, we're going to grab a freeze and a turbo like you saw. The 2 that'll spawn will probably block here. You'll only lose a little bit of time if you want to be patient, but you're just basically going to come right back exactly the way you came. Once you're kind of in this open area, you are good to go. So if you get hit by the Reaper at this point, there's enough room where you can kind of work around it and be fine without too much damage. But do try very hard not to get hit by anything before getting outward where this opens up, or you will put yourself in a very bad situation. Mostly involving the reaper. So, that being said, now we're back in the Foundry.
Ooh.
And there's a little bit of setup here that we're gonna go through.
Hello.
He's gonna take the fire extinguisher. You're gonna grab this barrel. You're going to line it up with this set. Not the mummy. Do not hit the mummy. Throwing it at that will spawn 2 imps. Breaking this will spawn a 3rd. Coming over here will spawn a 4th. This will spawn a 5th, but it will not pop out if you spawn all 4, because there's a limit of how many enemies you can have in the room. You're going to break this open for an invulnerability. You're going to kill the first 2 imps. Grab the invulnerability to maximize the time with that, and you are just going to go around killing the remaining imps, and then you will just have to, I like to just beat out a mummy and let them succumb to me. If you, for some reason, forget to spawn an imp, you'll just have to have the Reaper kill an additional mummy. You know, however many mummies you need to get that taken care of. Alright, back into the farmyard, and this room is simple, but can waste time if you basically touch grass. Don't touch grass. That's not a legitimate life lesson. Please don't use it. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so this bluish path that you see is the route you're going to want to take. Do not steer from this path, or you will get hit with a hand in ground. There's also one directly where this light is shining. You can take it a little bit wide and walk through with no issues. So, just don't touch grass. So, now we're in the woodshed. And this is actually a really fun room to do. Well, not the first half. The first half's miserable. You're just going to walk through and there's a bunch of Medusas. If you think that they're going to get a little too close, you can melee, just hit them once and stun them. And then you're going to have to deal with this one, which is a bit crazy. The thing you want to avoid is you do not want a Medusa breaking open any of the boxes or barrels, because they do contain worms. At this point, we're in the second half of the room. So what are you going to do? You're going to get the vampire's attention. You're going to get rid of the vampire before you do it. Swing here. These are regular chickens. You have to shoot backwards to get them to turn into vampire chickens. Grab the super weapons, and what's going to happen is I'm going to hold down on my control stick to fire, and I'm going to use my trigger, the cameras, to change the firing angle. And it usually works a little bit better than it is, but that's fine. And that's that. A good time for that's going to be 30. Anything higher than 30 is great. But yeah, once they start to spawn and they transform, you're just going to hold down the fire and just use your triggers to control the camera. You'll see that Cooper shoots in different positions. And because you have a super weapons can, you can just pre-fire and just keep firing. You don't have to let go of the fire stick for any reason, as long as you're using the cameras to kind of change Cooper's quote-unquote, what we would call, like, lock-on position. Alright, now we're in the garbage yard. You're going to come up here, pick it up, and break it. You're going to do that with everything in the room. Grab this trash can. Don't go too far up, but you do have to be, decently far up. Throw to break those 3. Break that, so that you should have 5 broken total, and then you'll start the room. And what we're going to do at this point is you're going to take this trash can, you're going to go all the way up to the end of this vent, and you're going to throw. Ideally, that goes a little bit better, but it's fine. That there, and swing. That did not work. That's fine. And then it's just dealing with the Reaper, but when there's 1 chair remaining, the traitor-favored mummy will come out to kind of help you deal with the Reaper. So, if you start the challenge beforehand, Or if you want to play the room safer, you can. There are Mini Cooper cans that you can use to where those do not count as you killing anything, so it won't break the rules. Alright, into the freezer. I'm just gonna get rid of you. I'm not gonna deal with you. This block of ice, right as you come in, will be on your left-hand side. It's gonna have a turbo. I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna come over to this chunk of ice for an Oko. You're then going to run towards the door, and a bunch of enemies are spawning. You are just going to annihilate everything. You get to kill X amount of enemies, you get X amount of attacks. Once you're at 0, you're good to just, move early to get as close to the door as you can, and then go from there. You do need to be careful, because if that hits, do not try to scare cancel that, or you will 100% get hit with it, because when you have an Oko can, you are using what I call a heavy attack, and it doesn't really cancel anything. Into the kitchen for the final time. We're just going to melee each of the Medusas once, just to make sure that we're not getting caught, and then you're just going to get out of the room from there. Alright, now we're in laundry, which is the third instance of a warlock, and is probably the most difficult warlock room, because there's a lot going on here. The first thing I'm going to say, don't touch this. Do not touch that. For any reason, for anything. This is useful. This basket is useful in Chapter 5. It is not useful in Chapter 3. This has a Traitor Fever Jesse and Clyde in it. It's not worth using. Don't. Now, onto the actual room itself. You're going to notice 3 of these small baskets here, a 4th one here, a 5th one here, and a 6th one down at the end of the corridor. What I like to do is you're going to break 1, 2, 3. But the thing with this room, you are going to want to go one by one, and you are going to want to kill anything that comes out before you go to the next one. This room has a no damage rule requirement. Trying to deal with the Reaper and dealing with a teleporting Warlock will not end well. Try to avoid that at all costs. Break it, kill whatever's in it, then move to the next one. If it's the worm and you get the first 3, come over here, you can grab a turbo, you can outrun it. And it'll also speed up the run range of the room. At the 3rd one, get rid of. At this point, break this open, and then do the force check. Once you get the Warlock, you're going to want to break both of these open. There are 4 spots he's going to spawn. You're going to want to keep track of where he's at. I'm not going to make that, so I'm not going to throw it. Alright, there's the first hit. It's going to be one of the baskets. The second hit's going to be there, and then you're going to grab the bottles of toilet paper, just depending. And you're going to get the final 4 hits. Couple important things with this room.
Yeah.
Number 1 is going to be where you want to position yourself in the room. Once the Warlock starts, you want to get the baskets out and the throwables out. You want to position yourself right around here. With this camera view, you can see 3 of the 4 spawn points that he has. The first one's going to be right in front of you. The second one will be over on the side here. The 3rd spawn point is going to be all the way down here. And the last spawn point is going to be by the door. Positioning yourself here with a camera angle somewhere around here gives you an exact idea of where he's going every single time. Because he's either going to be to the left of you, over in the corner, or down the hallway. If he's not on your screen, he's behind you. And again, if he teleports behind you and you have a weapon on you, Cooper will automatically turn around to lock on or lock eyes and have a visual of the Warlock for you. So stand in this area, 2 basket throws, and then 1 set with the throwables will end the room. Should you need to get to these 2 checks, you can use a throwable to speed that process up. I need to back up because of the throw distance. You can use that as well, and then use one to get the final hit as well. Because you don't need both sets of throwables, you only need one. And then there is an additional turbo just to kind of help you get over to this throwaway. Yeah, you can leave. Okay. So, once again, just position yourself here. There's 3 of the 4 spawn spots. If he's not, he's behind you. Basically, just wait for him to go. If he spawns in this position, you can tuck yourself kind of in the way, and you can use the camera to kind of avoid taking hits, and you should be able to throw over. I would not recommend trying to do that with the baskets, though. I would recommend only doing it with either the bottles or the toilet paper. But, that being said, we're moving on. To the servants' dormitory. This is going to be a room that you technically can do this without the invisible cans. Not recommended. Come over here, grab the trash can. Aim for kind of between these 2 beds, throw it all the way down. It's a little early, but it's fine. Pick up the invisibility, and you want to come up. You're basically just going to follow the room. The real kind of difficulty in this room is going to come in this second half. So this invisibility can is going to expire. We're going to have to grab another one. Problem is, it's going to put you in a place right where this guy. I would recommend grabbing that and then breaking this one for your invisibility. At this point, you can go in between this bed and the kind of wall here. You can sneak right through there with no issues. And then you can leave the room. When you grab the second invisibility, you are anytime. That is a fake door. If you do not get out of the room before the second invisibility can ends, you're going to be stuck in a door fight. So once you get it and go. It's lenient, but just to be safe. Alright. Servant's bathroom. So as you can see on screen, there was a 1:20 door timer, but there's 20 seconds till the Reaper spawns. You're going to need to kill the coats in the room, because all of the coats in this room contain traitor-fevered enemies that will target the Reaper. You're going to come over here, break this open. There's a broom and a super weapons. You're going to just beat on every coat in this room that you need to find. There's going to be 2 over on this half, there's going to be 3 on the other side. You should usually be able to get 2 spawned before he spawns in. And you'll have to be relatively close to the 3rd spawning in as well. So we've got there's 4. Now let's spawn in this 5th one just to be safe. At this point, it's just a waiting game. So you're just gonna wait. Come over to this corner, break this stall open, walk forward. If that scare appears, come out a little bit. And until you get to about 24, 25 seconds, you just want to keep an eye on the Reaper, make sure he's not coming towards you. Once you kind of get to that 25, 24, you're going to walk up the stairs. If you need to wait a second, make sure you do. But once it's 20 seconds, grab the Dizzy Reaper, you're done. It's simple enough, not too complicated. It's just, there's some setup, and your biggest risk of messing this room up is kind of during that setup period. But once you kind of get everybody spawned in, there's no issues, you shouldn't have any difficulty. Alright, moving on. We are leaving the room. Alright, now we're going to be heading into the attic. And the thing here is, it's another maze. It's literally just another maze. 45 seconds. First thing you're going to do is you're going to want to break this open. This has a shocker blocker. We're going to go for what's known as attic skip. If you can hang to the wall here and kind of hug that wall correctly, the Octomatic 8000 will not spawn. That's the name of the octopus. If that will not spawn, it will save a little bit of time. Now you're probably wondering, well, if that's the case, then why did you grab the shocker blocker? Because there's one at the end of the room. So, and also, it's a nice backup if you don't get addicts and have that shocker blocker. But take the route that you saw. And we're just going to just mash and combine it with the auto that it does. Get out of the room. Killing the imps is not necessary, it's just something I feel like doing. Alright, so yeah, with the attic, just follow the route. If you need to run it back a couple times, definitely good. And over time, you'll kind of learn. Grand hallway, you want to come down these stairs. And once you're about halfway down the stairs, you're going to want to take at least one shot, maybe two. The main thing you're going to want to take care of is if you can get the 2 throwables that the skeletons have broken and dead, you should be able to get it without any issue. If you want to play it safe, kill everyone. Another room with a locked door and stuff hidden. This is, I believe, the final warlock room. And this is probably one of the easier ones. This one's probably about as easy as... Probably the easiest one, period. Because it only takes 2 shots with the gun to kill. And he's in the same spot. So you're going to open the lockers. Put your camera over here. You're going to fire down there. If you can time it correctly and he spawns in that little corridor area, you can get a shot early, which can speed the process up. But obviously the thing with that is it's a 1 in 4 chance, and then also lining up the shot correctly.
Yeah.
Alright, at this point, we are going to come over here. Let's see if I can get it. I think I did. I did not, but that's fine. Alright, if you want to try for lineup spot, there is a lineup spot there to get the CC can early. If not, you just start the room, come over here, grab the challenge, complete can, and leave. Alright, now we're in Krackpots, and this is where things get complicated, because this room has a lot going on. Give me just a second. Alright. I'm going to let this plus in. Why? Explain what's going on. So, you have to summon the Reaper, use the Reaper to kill a vampire, and then also find a random key. What I'm going to do is going to be incredibly fast, so I'm going to try and be as detailed as I can with this. You're going to want to use a combination of a lot of cans and a lot of different things to make this room work correctly as it should. That's going to involve Traitor Fever, Invulnerability, Turbo, and then there is an Oko can as well, should you feel the need to use it, but I usually don't. Alright, so this is going to go pretty quick, because once you kind of start this room, you gotta just go with it. Over on the left side here, this tall locker is going to have your skeleton. You want to try and position it to where you kind of are beating him into this corridor here. Get him down. This big crate is going to have a turbo. Grab the toilet paper. Throw at the skeleton, grab your turbo. Come over to this, and vulnerability, Traitor Fever. You're going to get out of this section. The Reaper is active, so you do need to be quick with it. Break this spark symbol open for another invulnerability. Break this open for the vampire. You are going to take individual punches. Oh, this is getting fun. Individual punches for the vampire. I should be okay with that. Yep, that'll work. Once the vampire is dead, you're going to grab the second invulnerability, and you are just going to start breaking every single one of the investors. The last possible one. There we go. So, a lot going on, but again, just get everything going, and you'll be good to go. Alright, now we're into Experiment Chamber. This is got a setup that you can do. If you feel the need, there is an additional 5 health here. This vent is going to have injuries. What you're going to do is you're going to want to wait. You're going to grab the attention of the guy with the crate. Let him throw it. It should break most of them. At which point you can just leave the room. As long as most of them are destroyed, you should not have any issues. Alright, now to the final room of Chapter 3. and it's another difficult room. Personally, depending on pretty much every Ghoulies player you ask, the last two rooms, this and the Baron, is the 4 hardest rooms in the game. So this is the point where you're going to want to definitely do the best you can. Because these 4 rooms going right is critical to a good run. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get through the cutscene. We're going to break this open, and we're not going to grab any of this, because we got to deal with this first. Once that's taken care of, there are 2 ways to do this. Again, this is another room with multiple options. If you want to be a little bit aggressive and are good with learning the timing of the door, you can use everything on screen and finish the room with no problem. If you want a little bit of a safer strat, you can come over here, and there's another pot and a throwable that'll make it a little bit easier. What we're going to do is, if you want to do the strat with the pots and the bottles, you're going to start with this pot, throw, and then you're going to work your way over, and then use the remaining weapons over here to finish the door. If not, and you want to do the slightly faster way, you're going to grab this ladder. You're going to come up to the door, and you are just going to utilize the timing that it has. You're going to swing. You're going to notice he goes 1, 2, 3, pops up, and you're going to swing again. 1, 2, 3, up, and you're going to swing again. After this, you're going to grab the pot. You're going to throw the pot. You're then going to get a table. You're going to kind of need to adapt. He is going to do 3 of the doorknob attacks. And then you can go again. 1, 2, 3, up, and break. The nice thing with this strat is it keeps you have 1 swing of this table, as well you are right in front of the door with all of the enemies, because you are not given a whole lot of time to deal with this. And I am going to work my way kind of backwards. If you see any of the imps trying to get away, definitely get them stunned, because you do not want anybody getting away, because you are dealing with a relatively short timer. But once you're at that point, you're good to go. Get up reasonably close to the door to give enough time to get in the right place for the cancellation again. And then that's that. So that is going to be the end of Chapter 3. If you guys found this helpful, definitely let me know. I will probably be doing ones for like book and 100% if these do well enough. If that's something you'd like to see, or if you kind of want a separate video going over specific rooms or things like that, definitely let me know. But if not, I will see you guys for Chapter 4 and 5. I am going to do those as both, just as one video, because like I said, Chapter 4 is relatively short with it being just one room, and Chapter 5 is not that long either. So, I'll see you guys then.